Hello, everyone, and welcome to the I Am Self-Love Mirror Challenge. I'm Mia Saenz, your host. I'm really excited. I started to talk to everybody before the recording, so we just restarted it. This challenge is based off of the Mirror book. The Mirror book is currently I haven't decided if it's just going into its second edition or if it's actually going to be rewritten in like Mirror Reflections as the title, and have all of the Love Mastery program in there. So just some fun stuff to share, because with all the stuff that's going on in our world, what do we need more of? We need more of love and self-love within ourselves. I drew a card for fun right before I let everybody in, or as I was letting you guys in. And what I pulled is Isolate, Undying Love. The love you have shared is eternal, regardless of the situation. So on a lot of these type of readings, what I see through this is, first of all, love is love, right? However we break it down, love is the richness of that essence within us. And as we get to know who we are ourselves, we begin to develop a stronger position with ourselves. Everything opens up and shifts. There's a deeper connection, there's a caring, there's an awareness, and it allows us to see others in a different light, oftentimes in the light of love. Because as we work on our own love, we can be softer with others. We can be more compassionate towards others. We can have empathy towards others. We can understand that perhaps they're not at where we are in life, and that's okay. Whether it's more advanced or whether you're waiting for them to catch up with you. This is all about your own journey, your own personal journey. And within that journey, the love becomes so strong that everything else around it is amazing. Okay. Excuse me, guys. All righty. So today is all about you. Self-love is all about you. The whole thing is all about you. And yet it's not selfish or arrogant, is it? It's a richness within you. So as we open up to the Mirror book, I don't know how many of you have read it so far. There's only a couple of you with the camera on, so I would like to say, how many of you have read, or at least part of the Mirror book? So we open up to the Mirror book. Yay, Allison, thank you. We open up to the Mirror book, and for some of you, before I'm going to jump into it, and then I'm going to read the preface, because I think it's really important. I read the first 2 chapters. Yay! Yay! Perfect, Michelle. Even if you guys can keep up with the daily stuff, because this is important about you. Now, when I wrote the Mirror book, I had somebody go in and help me with the editing of making it more spicy. And in a way, it allows us to see what the reflection, like in Snow White, is talking to us. And literally, this is where our mean person shows up. Because within the first 2 hours of waking, we say something terrible to ourselves at least 17 times until we learn through and learn how to love ourselves. And the I am too fat, too thin, too old, too young, too this, too that doesn't exist anymore for us. I do want to share the preface in the book for those of you who haven't read it yet, because it is about love. So here it is. The concept of love has escaped us for so long. We believe we did something wrong, or we are not good enough for it. This is false. We as a whole are not taught how to love. This is where we step in and teach ourselves so we may support and teach others. The expression of love is incredibly deep and rich. It covers not just the known relationships of love with a partner, but into each relationship with humans, no matter the blood connection or not. This means each person on this planet. It extends It extends to the way we see things about ourselves and the world. The richest aspect is self-love. Self-love is the place we want to be. Self-love is the connection within yourself. It is complete. It is soft. It is your richest connection. This is the final zone. We work on our self-love by using self-care and other tools to get to a place known as self-love. As you enter the waters of love, feel the warmth. If you feel anything else, look at it so you may clear it away and get to the space of love. This is your journey. This is your time. This is your life. Live it. Big love to you you are a miracle. You are not alone. You are deeply loved. These truths I know to be true. So how does that make you feel? Do you want love? Do you want to be love? Feel it, live it, breathe it? I almost said smoke it. I don't know why that came out. Drink it, eat it. It's really a powerful space for each of us to choose where and how we want to move forward. So through this book and through this time this week, we are going to work on the aspects of tools and processes that will wake and shake you up. We are going tomorrow specifically, today we're kind of going to cover 2 chapters, so that tomorrow as we come through, it just hit me as I was in a class myself, learning something completely different. Lori's Freedom from Emotional Eating, but it came to me that tomorrow we're going to talk, which we already were, talk about your story, and you'll see that. But on the following day or Thursday, I can't remember which one, Wednesday or Thursday, we are going to talk about another story within your life. So tomorrow, make sure you guys are here tomorrow, because tomorrow is going to be really exciting. And even if you're not here on Thursday, you'll have the information to do the work on Thursday. Okay, so what does a life that loves you back look and feel like? I know that when I was struggling and came into this experience, my life story is in here. In 2008, doctors called me into their office and said, you better get your affairs in order. You have less than 2 years to live. And so how do you tell? And I had been in a wheelchair for 3 or 4 years. I had been hit on the head at a department store that carries everything. I'm not allowed to say the name, but they took me away. There were 5 boxes that fell off the top shelf, and they took me away by ambulance. And every week I had 5 days, an hour and a half of physical therapy for 3 years until the doctors called me in. And I don't talk about this story much because this is the beginning of my coaching journey. This is the beginning of a mass transformation where I was dying to a month later on my birthday. I realized I'm dying. I want to live. What would that feel like? And so I remembered that my mother, sorry, I am getting emotional. I remembered, but this is all good. I remembered that my mother had said to me, your birthday is your only day that you get to do whatever you want. It's your day. So thank God my birthday came a month later, because as the light came in that morning, and remember, I was in a wheelchair, not doing well. I saw my kids twice a day for a couple hours each time. Otherwise, I was literally sacked out, zonked out, asleep in bed, or in severe pain. And so I thought, I'm just going to live today to see what God has for me. Yes, I am a God girl. So that was a beautiful aspect for me. So I get up, I go out, I see my children, I sit on the couch like I do every day up till that point. And because I wanted to try to connect with my kids on a different level. And I hear a message come through me, like it was a voice, and it was a masculine voice. So for me, that's God or my higher self. And it said, you've been unhappy your whole life. This was on my 45th birthday. You've been unhappy your whole life. What would it be like to be happy? And I was like, whoa, that's some crazy stuff right there. And I said, I don't know. I don't know how to do this. And I heard, yes, you do. And before me, in my vision, I saw the 5 pillars of life, and I heard expand them out so big. Dream it. So first you have to believe it, or you have to dream it. You have to then believe it, that it's your life, that you want it. Then you go create it. So when that happened, I saw that when I took this is part of Wednesday's work, but this is really important, guys. It's also part of an assignment that we're going to do later on in the week, but this is important for you to realize. So I looked at my spiritual life and I said, that's pretty good. I'd like to be a teacher, a spiritual teacher. I'd like to talk publicly. And so then I went on to the next thing, was relationship. I had been married for 27 years, or almost 26 years, and loved my husband dearly, but understood, recognized in that moment that my husband was not on death's door, but didn't have the capacity of the awareness to live. He didn't have life within him. And so I knew that I would have to leave that relationship. And then I went through about my body. It was in a wheelchair, right? I had to build my inner core, get my strength back, lose all the weight from being in the wheelchair. There's work and there's home involved in this. What did my home look like? Well, that was pretty good in place, organized, except for that I couldn't actually live my life, which is part of home. We are our own home. And so work, I had a company that I could run a few hours a day, and my husband helped me too, which brought in great income. And so I was like, yeah, I'm okay with that. So what happened was a massive transformation. When I saw what it would be like to live the life that I dreamed, I believed it so much that I went out, and we all know I created it. And that's been 16 years. So what can you guys do with your life, your story? We are not through. And someone who had cancer for 4 years, I'm going to tell you, we're not through. We have amazing stuff to do, but you have to get in touch with your desire, your passion, your commitment. So I went out on that and I said, okay, I'm changing my life. I'm going to give myself, and I gave myself so much time to organize my food, my exercise, what my life would be like. How can I get out of the chair? How do I build my inner core? So I thought about all that and I planned my life. I also realized that that year, that was August 14th, 2008. And by December 2008, I had another vision. And it said, you're going to get published this year, this coming year. Don't be afraid, like I had been my whole life. And so my go date for me was January 1st. You have to have a commitment. Mine was not because it was the new year. It's because I needed a specific amount of time to create all the pieces into place. I was a woman in a wheelchair. I slept 20 hours a day. I literally changed my life. I had to find passion. What was that like? That's like when you're a kid and you're running down a hill and you start falling and rolling through the mud and over anthills, and you don't care because you're having a great time, right? That's the kind of passion you need in your life to create something of value. You have to hold it here in your heart. So in December of that 2008, I was like, yeah, I'm going to get published. I heard that message, right? And I said to my son, yeah, and I think I'm going to get published next year. And he's like, that's really great, Mom. You know, they're always our little cheerleaders. Less than a month later, publishers came to me and said, we want you to be in a compilation book. We've heard about your writing. Somebody had put my name in. It was as easy as that. Somebody actually approached me I wasn't out of the house at that point. I hadn't been for a long time. Very interesting. When we take the step forward in our life to create something different and something new, what will transpire? Right? So beautiful, so interesting for us. You are worth it. So we have some journal prompts in this first chapter. And I want to ask you guys, because these are really important, and unmute yourself and just or put it in the chat. What does the mirror represent to you? You guys will read my experience about the mirror work here. It wasn't good at first. Yeah, it can be scary. I remember telling myself, I love you in the mirror, and immediately having this adverse reaction. No, I don't. You're a liar. It's not true. And then I started to nurture myself. And I thought, what are you doing? You're cracking up. You're crazy. I was 24 years old. It wasn't my first bout of dealing with my emotional trauma from childhood. It was one of my major transformations when I was 24 and looked in the mirror and put it down, scared, the whole work, and then picked it up again. I dabbled. It's okay. We can dabble, but we have to find the commitment to move forward. And the older you are, I'd like to say, stop dabbling and jump in. There is a lot of possibilities in life when we open that up. When we open it up for ourselves, there are things you hear about people manifesting, creating, living their life. That can only happen when you clear away your junk. Literally, when you clear away your junk. Okay, so let's see. We did have Anna put, when I said looking in the mirror, reflection of myself. Yeah, and M's phone says possibilities. Well, that's really beautiful, you guys. You've also both been doing your work, apparently, for a while at least, if not a long time. Okay, beautiful. All right, so the mirror work is so important. Why? Because it allows us to come together and connect to our shadows. Do you guys know what your shadows are? And I don't mean out in the sunshine. They're the aspects within us. That's the darkness, right? That comes out. The reason the mirror work. So I have my toolkit that I give people when I work with them or when I work privately with the love mastery work. It's a little bit different than the academy work, although I bring that in for people too. I did pause, not for an effect, but because I lost my train of thought there. This is really a beautiful space, the mirror work, because you get to see yourself and develop a connection. We are not taught to joyously talk to ourselves. I mean, some people do in the mirror. It's a distraction. They talk, they chit chat. And some do it after they've advanced through the mirror work. I've done that. I used to do the, hey, how you doing? I don't do that anymore, but I used to do it. It doesn't matter where you are as long as you're connecting to you. When you look in the mirror, the directions are in the book. They're also in the book for the blind, which would be touching of the face, right? Like how the blind do to get to know themselves. And with the deaf, it's the reverberation, the vibration of I love you, or I love you, however it comes out through the vocal cords. And if you can't say I love you, you might try I love me. there's a little play on words over the years that I've seen that becomes different. And because everyone is uniquely different, that way it's different. So take your journal or notebook and write down, have one specific for your mirror work, and write down what happens in the mirror. Guess what also can happen? One day you can feel so fabulous, and the next you go into the mirror to say, I love you, and you have an adverse reaction, or you have a story that comes up. This is why we do the work. This is why we excavate through who we are in our stories. Because we don't know who we are until we know who we are. And that takes like a research. That takes being aware of all the aspects of who you are, all the dark corners, all the joy, all the beauty. It's all mixed together. It's like a beautiful soup of life. So remember, this all starts with in the beginning of chapter 2, because we're going to start to do a little bit of chapter 2, because I want to take you on some good stuff. So before that, how do you guys feel? Just a show of either in the chat or shaking your head. How do you feel about the mirror work? Do you feel okay about the mirror work? Yeah. So it's important for us to connect to, as we said, to the mirror, but also there's so many other tools. The mirror work allows us to see our shadows, which allows us to get to know what our inner child. And then from there, our inner child, as we work with that, we also then go into another aspect, like a twin sister of inner child, and there's birth work. If these are the first time you're hearing it, the inner child is the aspect of you when you were younger. I don't talk about it in the book, but it is so important. I only was writing 5 chapters so people could get to know the work. You see, there's so much about healing and confidence and love. Self-love is also about building your confidence. Allison, you've been with me off and on for 4 years. Is a confidence level in self-love important? Okay, so she's typing, not coming on, but I think she's saying yes. So the point is that all of these aspects are married to each other, just like within yourself. You may love art and going to museums, and you also may love sitting on a lake and being able to visualize that image yourself in a piece of art. And you also might be a reader, but you don't like gardening, right? Or you're not crazy about cooking, but you don't mind cleaning the house, right? We're all different. And so these are all aspects of who we are. Same with the beauty of self-love, the good stuff. So important. Okay, thank you, Allison. Okay, so remember, this all starts, you and your journey starts with a choice. You know how people say, what is that? That the journey starts, the journey of 1,000 miles, didn't actually exist, or it didn't start with the first step, because it starts with a decision, a choice. Once you get all fired up with your self-love or your passion or your commitment to self to do something different, that's where you get to move forward. So I want to also talk a little bit about tomorrow. I want you guys to think about tomorrow's story. Your story. Your story matters. And most people, we as humans communicate with people on a sub-level, sorry, we do, until we learn the depths of who we are and can communicate on a close emotional level, right? A lot of people you will know some or even interact where you don't feel the intimacy, meaning the connection between each other regarding emotional stuff, is in alignment with each other. And that's okay. Get to know your own intimacy, get to know your own story. So if you were going to write a memoir about your life, what would it be like? So I really want you guys to dive into what would it be like? Would you want to add? What would you want to add? Because as we also grow, our view of life changes. And then the next one we're going to work on when we get to the dream, believe, create process. So the next story is the other side. So it's right now where you've been. What does that look like? You know, if you don't want to write out or have time to write out a whole story, why don't you do bullet points of your story, of your life? Don't get overwhelmed and say, this is way too much. I can't do this. Right? Mine was in 2008. One of my bullet points that's in the book is 2008. Doctors told me that I was dying in less than 2 years. My organs were closing down. Get your affairs together. You don't have a lot of time. That's one bullet point on my story. There's many. So do you see how you can pull your pieces together on a piece of paper? And if you don't get through it all this week, guess what? I'm looks like I'm going to be doing a writing program for people towards the end of December. And so, you know, it's a free one. And so you can jump in on that and write your story too, more in depth with me there. So what would your story look like of the past? We want to see the contrast, and it doesn't have to be about all the negative things. It can be. This is yours. We want to see and discover what a life that loves us back looks like. We go through that in chapter 1 and 2, right? We go through the story of my life and how I'm sitting on the couch and I hear this message and I'm like, I don't know how to create an image of my life being happy. Yes, I've been unhappy for 45 years. And then I saw myself sitting on a stool across the room, like it was my saboteur. And it was saying to me, you're not going to die. They're not going to take you out of here. You don't have to do this work. You've got plenty of time. But it was that moment that it all connected for me, that I was like, I will die if I don't step into my life now. Many people ask me if I'm a walk-in because I went from, and part of the story that I think is in the book is from 9/11, because I had CTPSD, which is early childhood complex or war victim trauma, PTSD. So C in front is CPTSD is complex. So because of that, when 9/11 hit, I was so shocked. No matter what your beliefs are, no matter what we've discovered on since then, it was a traumatic experience for every person, not just in the world, but in the United States. It was shocking. The first time we had some kind of a war on our soils since I think it was the Mexican-American War. So understand that all of this is important for you to be aware of. What is your story? How are you going to grow it? Who are you going to become? Michelle and I, she's in the academy, so is Allison. When Michelle and I meet, she gets to tell me all her new plans and how she's creating her life. How do you guys want to create your life? You don't have to be like me, who was in a wheelchair. Oh, back to the 9/11. So I went through so much shock with 9/11 that I first had to protect my children. Remember, I was a traumatized person myself. So I started carrying knives. I took them to school and I at drop off, I just decided after talking to the principal to just keep on going. They weren't going to get my kids. I went nuts, literally. I also had a couple weeks later a psychotic break where the frontal lobe completely burnt out, completely. And they said, you will never function again. Do you know what it's like to be an intelligent human being and then to have to pretend that you're alive to your family or your friends? They would all be talking. We'd still go to dinners and stuff. And I'd be like, I had no idea. I couldn't put 2 or 3 things together and hold that for more than a few seconds. They said it was like the motherboard of a computer that once it's gone and burnt out, it can never come back. So this is a miracle that I'm as active and mentally alert and creative as I am. I gave myself a chance for a new life and I took it. Yeah, I am unique like that, but others can too. Literally, this is why your story is so important, everyone, because you matter. Okay, questions. Michelle, you look dumbfounded or uh-oh, Mia disturbed the harmony here. All right, so I'm going to ask a few people. So, Michelle, you're first. How did this resonate or sit with you? Oh, we do have a quick question while you're thinking. Daniela, I'm wondering what it has to do with self-love, having a hard time being a man. I'm very attracted to feels the same for me. I'm not sure what that is. Can you voice that to me? I'm wondering what it has to do with self-love. Having a hard time, believing we'll change the language. Believing a man I'm very attracted to feels the same way about me. Honey, all of this, the whole self-love scheme of things, when we're dating, until we are balanced with who we are, our confident level, our security, our safety about ourselves, we won't believe that anybody can truly love us and will be there for us. You have to have some foundation of trust. I don't know the specifics of this person that you're talking about, or if you're just saying in general, but I'm wondering what it has to do with self-love. You're having a hard time believing a man that you're attracted to feels the same for you. That's because you don't have a confidence level, honey, and maybe you were never shared love to that degree that you could believe that you're worthy enough. Do you see why self-love, when you start to clear away the wounds? So when I was told that I would never be able to communicate again, and I pretended, right? I had the desire the whole time to live. I believed that and to heal. So here, what are you telling yourself when you're saying having a hard time believing a man I'm very attracted to feels the same about me? I don't know the situation between you two, but overall, either he's told you he doesn't like you, or if he is approaching you as if he likes you and you don't believe it, that's your own confident level. That's your own sense of self-love. Because as you grow through the emotional distress that we all have had growing up in one framework or another, you're going to understand that if someone doesn't care about you as much as you care about them, they're obviously not the right person for you. You want that symbiotic, I'm not saying that right, experience between another person. Does that make sense? Yes, no? Can you put it in the chat? Okay, Michelle.
Okay. What was the question again? How does this all resonate with me?
Yeah.
So, it does. I'm still working toward doing this for months, working toward my relationship with myself, my, loving myself and everything. When I'm thinking that you mean describing what you had to go through and what you done to push forward and get to where you are today. Um, for me is incredibly um now I'm at a loss for words. Um, I pretty much think that, oh my God, I've got my own crappiness that I'm dealing with in my life right now. Which is, partly due to the fallout of not loving myself for years. But this woman has gone through hell and back, and darn it, I can do this. So um I least I can look myself in the mirror. I probably decades ago I couldn't, but um I really need to fall in love with that person. And I think I'm moving in the right direction. So um I guess the short answer would be, yeah, this resonates with me very, very much so, and more as time goes by.
You know what's interesting? You just reminded me because, I forget stuff. There's so much out there in the world, right, that we personally experience individually. And I forgot for a moment until you brought it up what it's like to be on that side where you're not even familiar. In the academy, we connect the whole body, mind, and spirit together, right? It's a total healing. But until you get there, I remember being in my body and going, I don't know who I am inside. I felt like a
Mm,
shell. Like, who is that in there? There was no connection whatsoever. Whatsoever. And so we just have to start to be gentle with ourselves in those spaces. If you have a vicious thought like that about yourself, it's okay. Because guess what? All of us were not raised in one form or another the way that we actually felt we should have. And that's simply because our parents were young. They weren't trained on how to take care of children. They're scrambling. They've got their own shit going on, right? We know that now that we're older. Yeah, our parents had that going on when they were younger too. If we stop to think about that, right? If we stop to
yeah.
compare, the comparison is only so we understand that as we grow up, all this information about life is put upon us layer by layer by layer by layer. It's not authentically who we are. So we begin to strip away like the onion peel of all the stuff that was layered on us until we find that sweet center, that gentle, sweet center. And so it's so important to be gentle with yourself. The process of gentleness allows us to open up like a flower to the sunshine and to follow it,
Mhm.
right? And to follow it. There's so many aspects about self-love and this work and the book that you're going to get lots of little pieces too, and that's why the recording's so important. You guys are going to get lots of pieces that, what did she say about gentleness, right? Because that's the part that we need, those little things that come up. Oh, I want to tell you guys about this, or I need to tell you about that, because it's a space within us. In a short 5 days you can't learn everything that I teach, right? But when they come up, that's what I need to share, those little gentle aspects of um of us. Be gentle with yourself. I know that from Allison's experience, that when she's worked on that gentleness over the years, to be gentle with herself, that it allowed her to open up to other areas. It allowed me, it's allowed you, Michelle, and it's going to allow
Mhm.
everybody else. I mean, just like it has the thousands. So that book, Mirror Mirror, this one, literally, because it was on my website, it still is, and you just sign in for it. Except for that has the old book, not the new one that I'm working on. Um, it's been downloaded over 15,000 times. So it's had approximately 15,000 users plus the classes. So I'm going to jump around teaching it now simply because I want you guys to get what you need. I love these self-love challenges because they're not all the same. The last one we had, and this is what you guys need to know about self-love too. The last one that we had, I Am Self-Love Challenge, was more about the emotional growth, the authentic self and that stuff, like the who am I really? So know that self-love is every aspect of who you are. It's your emotions, it's your thoughts, it's the beating of your heart, it's the connection to all the areas that bring you great joy. It's the amazing food you eat. It's the way you put awareness into I am an amazing human being. I'm doing this work. And everything I have to do for myself has to be done in gentleness so that I can absorb it. We talk in the academy a lot, everyone, about the nervous system and somatic experiences to calm us so that we can absorb information. It's the same thing when I talk about gentleness. It's about that gentle way of being so that you can bring such a deep love that it settles into you. Because if we chase love or we chase the idea of self-love, we're going to chase it away, just like we chase away people when we go after them. You know, when we're aggressive with people because we like them, they're going to run away and hide. We run away and hide within ourselves. So that gentleness is the aspect of the calm alive that brings our nervous system down into alignment. Anything else you wanted to add, Michelle?
No, I'm good.
Awesome. Who else?
Did I answer the question though?
So this is what's so beautiful and unique about all of this. Not that we fly by the seat of our pants on these things, but everyone, so if you all understand how uniquely, amazingly beautiful you are, you're so unique. Your story is different. One person's like me, my grandfather was from Italy, and my who I thought was my birth father, he was Spanish, and their family were early California settlers in LA. My story's unique. I had a crazy ass mother who was schizophrenic, bipolar. So who I am is unique. And thank God I worked on my story. I worked on me. So who you guys are is beautifully unique, even with our ancestors. How many of you can actually move through? And I'm going to bring the reflection of the mirror here to you. How many of you can walk through your mirror? It's nothing to be afraid of. When I say walk through your mirror, I mean when you look at yourself, when you do the mirror work, when you tell yourself good or bad stories about yourself, can you look in that mirror and see the smoothness and grace of who you are and feel like you're walking through the mirror into a life that is different? This is why it takes time to do the work. I wish we could walk through our closet door and come out the other side completely different, rewired, all of that. But it takes time, everyone. It takes time to love yourself, to discover that you are great and okay how you are, but how can I get past the parts that are limiting me or holding me back? How can I grow through that? Right? It's not about degrading yourself, shaming yourself, bringing yourself to a place that you don't like yourself. It's actually right the opposite. So what we've been doing, we want the opposite. We want to stand tall. We want to feel the light. We want to feel love. We want to feel good. I'm just going to say something. Gina and I are in a class together before this. We're both students in it. There's a beautiful, I'm just going to show this one thing. There was a beautiful person in there who spoke, and part of it broke my heart because she couldn't see her own light. and she's been waiting in life. And it reminded me, and this is where we learn experientially from everything and everyone, reminded me of how I wouldn't step forward to live my life. It took me till I was 45 to wake the heck up. Yeah, I tried it earlier. It scared me, the mirror, right? So when are we going to step forward? When are we going to choose us, ourselves? She chose herself, that woman in class today. She had chose herself. She's just sharing how she did. But it made me realize that's right. Because look, I've been teaching this for years, 16 years, this work. We forget stuff as we keep growing and teaching higher levels and higher levels and higher levels. The fact is, humanity doesn't like themselves. The fact is, we don't think that we're good enough. We want better. And the combination of wanting better, not thinking that we're good enough, and not meeting ourselves, both in our dream life, what we would like, and our interpersonal life, keeps us pulled apart in two separate directions. When we actually can bring ourselves back together into one, or for the first time together as one, you are one strong, I'm going to say mama, even if you're a male, you are one strong, powerful person. And you're going to love your journey so much because there is so much peace and safety within who you become through loving yourself through the work. Let me glance at these texts here. On here, it says, I give myself permission to feel my emotions fully and speak gently to myself. That's really beautiful. I make conscious decisions daily to be the best me. Yeah. Those are really important. Even if it's asking a question, putting it out to the universe or to God, to your higher self or your notebook. How can I love myself more? How can I love myself more? If you guys took that also today, how can I love myself more? And think about that. And even maybe journal 3 or 4 minutes about that. You're going to get some incredible insight. And then tomorrow, take that question again and dive deeper. Do it today. Dive deeper again. One of my girlfriends who's 30, she's really brilliant. I mean, she's so much like a sister. She taught me this year to ask the question 5 times and go 5 times deep. And I was like, wow, when I did it, when I did the work, not just hearing it, when I did the work, I dug through all my stuff, I got my answer. And then I asked myself the question again, since I had that answer, and I dug even deeper. And guess what I did? I unearthed more information. And I did it until I got the final reason, the thing that was blocking me. Boop. And I popped through another door. We're like video games. Literally. I don't know how many of you have played video games with your children or even know about video games, but like in Mario Brothers, you're going around getting all the prizes and clearing up the bottom floor and looking for everything hidden, all the gems and the jewels. That's how self-love is. And then you go up those stairs to another level, to another floor within yourself. You can imagine them at the same time within yourself, clearing, getting money, being prosperous, abundant, amazing. Why is it for some and not for others? It's not, it's for all of us. All right, everybody. We will commence tomorrow with our story. You are valuable. You are important. I opened part of this up with, and I didn't say, hey, this is what I do on stage, but I want you guys to know when I first open up a show or a conversation where I'm actually in person talking, I will say to people, you're not alone. You're deeply loved and you're a miracle. And that's the truth about you. And I want you to hold that in your heart today as you write your story. because you've gotten through everything that you did not think you could get through. And with our story, we're also going to do a little bit of the inner child work, which I told you about. Okay, because it's not in the book, but it's one of the best things, you guys, I want to share with you and experience with you guys, at least to start to move forward in that area. All right, everybody, any more questions before we say goodbye? Nope. Okay. Have a really great day. This will go out in the replay very soon. All right. See you guys tomorrow. Thanks.